It's Monday, March 9th, 2026. And what we are all witnessing right now, this is not just another news cycle. It's something different. We're calling it the Great Convergence. Two absolutely devastating wars, one in Ukraine, the other in the Middle East, have just fused into a single, terrifying global crisis. Let's just start with a few numbers to put this in perspective. 130. That is the number of massive combat engagements, we're talking major battles, that have erupted across Ukraine in just the last 24 hours. The intensity is almost impossible to comprehend.
$114.20. That's the price for a single barrel of oil right now as the conflict in the Middle East spirals out of control and threatens to pull the entire global economy down with it. And this one? 1.27 million. That is the staggering threshold of total Russian casualties that has just been crossed in Ukraine. It's a number that represents a scale of human loss that we haven't seen in generations.
Okay, so let's get into what's really happening here. These numbers are shocking, for sure, but they aren't the real story. The real story is how these two wars are now feeding each other, literally redrawing the world map in real time. Stay with us because some of the shocking things I'm going to reveal, the alliances being forged in this fire, they are going to absolutely blow you away. Let's break it all down. First up, two fronts, one grinder. We're going to go deep into the raw data coming out of both of these epicenters of conflict. And we have to start with the unprecedented, brutal attrition happening on the ground in Ukraine.
So you might be asking, what are the most violent coordinates on the planet right now? Well, here they are. Pokrovsk, Holyapol, and Kostiantynivka. And think about this for a second. Across the entire front line, a major combat engagement is kicking off every 11 minutes. Every 11 minutes. It's just relentless.
And all this violence is being fueled by an absolutely relentless Russian saturation attack. In just the last 24 hours alone, we're talking over 6,500 kamikaze drones launched and 170 heavy glide bombs dropped. This is the very definition of a meat grinder.
But here's the thing, Ukraine is making Russia pay a price that is it's completely unsustainable. And what's really interesting on this chart isn't just that top-line number, 750 troops lost in a day, which is horrific. No, look further down at the equipment. 70 artillery systems, 4 air defense launchers, even a naval vessel. Losing 70 artillery pieces in 24 hours is a critical, crippling blow. You simply cannot hold a defensive line without your big guns.
And this is the crucial point, right? These staggering losses are not random. This isn't just luck. They are the direct result of a very deliberate and highly effective Ukrainian strategy known as counter-battery dominance. It's all about systematically hunting and destroying the enemy's artillery to create these little windows of opportunity for your own forces to attack. Now, let's pivot for a second to the naval war. I mean, this line on the slide says it all. The Black Sea Fleet, neutralized by a country with no navy. This is incredible. It comes after confirmed strikes on key warships like the frigates Admiral SN and Admiral Makarov. With those ships out of commission, Russia's sea-based missile threat from the Black Sea is, well, it's effectively over. This is a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. And that brings us to the core vulnerability that really connects both of these conflicts. Section 2, the $20,000 problem. This is about why incredibly high-tech, expensive Western weapons are, quite frankly, failing against a totally different kind of threat. And this just illustrates the whole issue perfectly. On one side, you've got a single US THAAD interceptor missile. Cost? $3 million. On the other side, an Iranian Shahed drone that costs about $20,000. It is a simple, brutal numbers game. You cannot win when your enemy can launch 150 threats for the cost of just one of your interceptors. And the consequences of this economic mismatch are catastrophic. See, Iran isn't just sending these drones to overwhelm defenses. They've been using them to successfully target the most critical parts of the system, the THAAD radars themselves, the eyes. With 4 batteries knocked out and stockpiles of those expensive interceptors running empty, the US military is, in effect, running blind in the region. This failure of Western tech sets the stage for our next section, which reveals a geopolitical realignment that is it's shocking. Section 3, Zelensky's Gambit, the birth of a new and completely unexpected asymmetric alliance. So, first, let's just ask the most critical question facing the entire Middle East right now.
How can the Gulf states possibly survive this drone onslaught when even the United States military is failing to stop it?
Well, the answer is right here on this map, a direct line from Kyiv to the Gulf. In what might be the most incredible twist of this crisis, the people saving the Gulf states are the world's foremost experts in defeating Iranian drones, the Ukrainians. They're sending in their battle-hardened Shahed hunters.
It is an absolutely brilliant trade. Let's break it down. Step 1. Ukraine sends its elite Shahed hunter teams, people with years of hands-on experience, to the Gulf. Step 2. In return, Ukraine gets the critical PAC-3 air defense missiles it so desperately needs. And then step 3, the genius move, Ukraine makes itself indispensable to global energy security, and that fundamentally changes its strategic importance to everyone.
Now, this new alliance has immediate global fallout. So let's zoom out for a second and see the economic shockwave that's hitting a major power that was trying to stay neutral in this fight, India.
This chart shows the double crisis that's hitting New Delhi hard. The spike in oil to over $114 a barrel has caused the Indian rupee to plummet to a record low against the dollar. This isn't just a downturn, this is a national economic emergency.
But it's not just about economics. 52,000. That is the number of Indian citizens who've been urgently evacuated from the Middle East in what's being called Operation Vande Bharat 2.0. The human cost of this crisis is just immense.
And all of this puts India in a totally impossible position, which is summed up perfectly by this quote. India may be forced to choose between its energy security and its strategic partnership with the US. They need cheap Russian and Iranian oil to function, but their entire alliance with America is pulling them in the exact opposite direction.
So that brings us to the final and really the most crucial question. What happens Monday? Because as the markets open around the world, we are truly at a crossroads.
The fundamental question is this: has the world lost faith in the US security umbrella? The answer won't come from politicians. It's going to come from the market. If US Treasury bonds, the thing that's supposed to be the world's safest investment, if they start selling off on Monday, it means global capital is betting that the old order is over. And that is a truly terrifying thought.
In a world that is changing this fast, knowledge is your only real shield. We're going to be tracking this crisis every single day. To stay ahead of the changes and really understand what's coming next, make sure you subscribe for our latest updates. Stay safe and stay informed.